All right, I'm gonna answer your question. What you say? You had a question about what's the difference between the Jews?
He said the difference between the Jews
I'm gonna answer his.
and the Hebrew Israelites.
You just want to know about Elijah Muhammad.
I want to know,
Yeah.
in all seriousness,
Yep.
what is the correlation between the Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites?
There's
Because
no
I was born in the Nation of Islam.
I understand that.
So my understanding is that Elijah Muhammad gave the world the idea that the black man is a child of Israel.
No.
Rightfully.
No. I've heard that, right?
Okay.
That's not the truth, right?
So who brought that to the political
Here's-
aspect of black people and religion in the political
why I
movement?
say it's not
Right
the
after
truth.
the Great Migration.
Right. Here's why I say it's not the truth, right?
Okay.
When was the NOI founded?
1934, I believe.
Okay, so you got an issue because in the 16, right, when they were in the 1960s, sorry, right, when black people started to rise up, around that time is when the understanding that we were Israelites came
Yeah,
up.
because it was accepted in the 70s.
Right, but listen to what I'm saying. You said that the NOI started when?
34?
Right, it started 34?
Yeah.
Now, think about this. When did he rise up and say, we're going to come together as the Israelites?
60s, 70s.
Right, so my point I'm making to you is that ideology came at that time. Now, was it not in the earth before that? No, because look, white men were going around, right? They were examining the natives. They were writing books about it. They were telling that the people here that were natives, they were the Israelites. Matter of fact, when they came here, they had Hebrew translators. So it was known before that.
Is it the Mormons? That's the story you talking about?
The Mormons also did it, but a lot of Christopher Columbus had Hebrew translators, right? So a lot of people that came to this side of earth knew that the natives here spoke Hebrew.
But as black Americans, we did not know
About the 60s,
until...
about the 60s when we started to get to understand it.
Yes.
So what I'm telling you is, even though he mentioned it, it was widely pushed starting around the 60s.
Right.
Right. And when we started to come together under it was the 60s. You had a group called the Commandment Keepers.
Right.
And they rose up.
Now I want to go through the history on how this truth started. 1800, a literate blacksmith named Gabriel Prosser taught the slaves through inspiration of the Bible that we were God's people and should rebel against the tyranny of America. So that drawing right there is an illustration of Gabriel Prosser. That was in the 1800s. Then you had 1831. It says a slave named Nat Turner was called the Prophet. A lot of people don't know that. That was his nickname, the Prophet, because he was always talking about the scriptures. Okay, and raised a small slave rebellion based on Bible teachings and visions of war and blood he had. Many blacks today demonize this man who attempted to save them from oppression. Then you had in 1896, William Saunders Crowdy in Lawrence, Kansas. He established the Church of God and Saints of Christ. Although he taught blacks were God's people, he mixed a lot of Christianity in his teaching. You could Google this guy, and it tells you that it was still a lot of Christian stuff in there. Okay, under it, it says, F.S. Cherry set up the Church of the Living God, the pillar ground of truth for all nations. So even with this, he had all nations involved in this. This group was founded in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and later moved to Philadelphia. Theologically, the Church of the Living God mixed elements of Judaism and Christianity and the Talmud. So he had all races in there, so that he was still kind of off too. 1920, you have Wentworth A. Matthews. He established the Commandment Keepers in Harlem, New York. He primarily based his learnings on so-called Jewish people. He rejected all New Testament writings. That was him right there. 1929, you have Israel Ben Newman and Mordecai Herman. They established the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. They also followed white Jewish teachings, okay? Under that, you're in 1930, you had Arnold Josiah Ford. He and a small group of black Jews went to Ethiopia, where they participated in the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie, created a school and acquired 800 acres of land for the purpose of uniting black Jews and the diaspora with Ethiopians. He died there in 1935, so he had a little bit of understanding, but not to the point of where we're about to get to. Okay, near the end of the Civil Rights Movement, there were several prominent Israelite teachers. It was around this time the truth was being taught on a larger scale and in more areas. 1960, this is where we branch off from, right here. 1960, you had Eber Ben Yemyan, also known as Abba Bivens. He was initially taught he was an Israelite by an ex-slave some many, many years earlier in the South. Bivens believed in the Black Christ, and on his way to New York, he had visited many Indian reservations and came to the scriptural conclusion that the so-called Indians were Israelites as well. He then came to New York and joined the Commandment Keepers. That's the group we saw up above with Matthews, under Matthew, but rejected Matthew's teachings of Old Testament only. So they got into an argument and Bivens broke off from him. Bivens founded the Israeli school. He was the first to teach both the blacks and Indians of the Americas, Israelites. So he was the first one that started to teach about the two kingdoms. 1963, you got Ben Carter, also known as Ben Ami. He led 300 Israelites from Chicago to Liberia and then to Dimona, Israel. He established the African Hebrew Israelites. He attempted to deliver his group from the curses of Deuteronomy 28 under the oppressive hand of America, but soon discovered that oppression followed him to Dimona, Israel. Due to lack of citizenship, they lacked the medical and dental capabilities to properly take care of one another. So he agreed to support the Jewish Israeli military, allowing their young men to fight against the Palestinians in exchange for much needed supplies for their camp. He had to sell his soul just to get a few dental benefits and medical benefits to help his people. He got to send a young men in their war. 1965, William A. Lewis taught a congregation in Grand Junction, Michigan. 1970, Hulan Mitchell Jr. This is the one they have on the biography channel, where many of your mothers and fathers will Google Israelites. This guy pops up first. This dude was a murderer. It says 1970, Hulan Mitchell Jr., a.k.a. Yahweh ben Yahweh, established the nation of Yahweh. Proclaimed himself God, the Son of God. Sound familiar that somebody's doing today? He and many of his followers were arrested for murder, racketeering, arson, and many other crimes to establish themselves in various states. He was found guilty of these crimes in 1991 and died of colon cancer in prison. Next. 1973, you had Moshe Ben Kareem, a.k.a. also known as Masha. He was chosen to carry on teaching in Abba Bivens' place. Bivens had died. Okay, he was fighting with the Muslims on the street because you had two groups that was teaching on the streets at this time. You had the Muslims. That's why if you look at the movie Malcolm X, remember you see Malcolm on a ladder teaching, and you got you had Sharpton playing a preacher.
Bobby Seale.
Right. So during that time, you also had Bivens was on the street teaching. They used to get into confrontations about the scriptures, and Bivens didn't play. He'd fight you quick. So the Muslims had beat him down real bad and put him in a hospital. In the hospital, he had set up Masha and Yaakov to take over the teachings of the school, and Bivens had passed away. So I'm going to read this right here. 1973, Moshe Ben Kareem, a.k.a. Masha, was chosen to carry on teaching in Abba Bivens' place, where Peter Sherrod, also known as Yaakov, that's Yaakov on the right, Masha is in the green. It says they took over the Israeli school, adding UPK, Universal Practical Knowledge. Later in the 70s, they were helped by 5 other brothers, and they were called the Seven. They were offered, now this is the key point, they were offered several $1 million by the Rosicrucians to teach a more Christian or Jewish message of unity for all mankind, as some of the other Israelite camps teach. Masha and Yaakov refused. Because they had given them,
we were there when they were doing this.
They had handed them a blank check and said, just write in whatever number you want and it's yours. They said no and gave it back to them. It says a Christian Jewish message means Negroes will remain on the bottom of society and the full truth will never be taught. So now we want to pause right there at that history there.
So even Malcolm, he studied under the Israelites, right? When you go look into him, right? Because he said that. So the information was out there. As far as us rising up under it, started about in the 60s. That's the point I'm making. So did he mention it? Yeah, he mentioned it. But I'm saying
I disagree.
He didn't start it.
Because you said there's many doctrines and there's people starting their own beliefs.
Who started their own beliefs? I'm saying
The Hebrew Israelites, Pan-Africanist movement.
No, they were going on history.
Yoruba, Ifa.
Yoruba, you know the Yoruba are the Israelites?
Say that
The
again.
Yoruba are the Israelites. They identify as the Israelites.
I do too.
Right, okay, so you're Israelite.
I know
you
that
gotta do what the
already.
Bible
I just like
say
to
though.
fuck with y'all type
You gotta do what the Bible. I know you do. I know
I
you
just
do.
wanna see if your brain working.
Because every time I say something to you, agree, but then you gotta disagree to see what
Because it's you can learn from a fool, and you can also mix lies and truth together to make your own agenda possible. And that's what cults do.
But all I'm gonna do is read the Bible. That's what I'm gonna do. You know what it's
You're
a cult?
translating and you're reading.
Let me
That's
tell you
two
what's a
different
cult.
things.
Islam is a cult. Because
It is. It all is a cult. All organized
Christianity
religion with a
was a cult.
following is a cult.
But this is not our religion. It's our nationality.
Nah, see, that's politics and semantics too.
No, it's our nationality. I'm telling you.
No, that's
God
my
gave us a
choice.
law. No, it's our nationality. That's what we were given according to God. We were given our heritage. Give me that Sirach 17.
There's a difference between an ethnicity and a nationality.
I know.
What's the difference?
Nationality is just a flag that
You can be Mexican and
That's
still
what
be
a
American.
nationality is known as. Like America, you would view it as a nationality, right?
Okay.
Back then, there were 18 nations created in the
Okay,
Bible.
oh, you're talking about back then.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 18 nations that were created on Earth. There really wasn't never a change, Derek. What happened was people started to push different doctrines, all these different ideas, but there's still 18 nations on the earth. So if we say we're not the Israelites, my question to everybody is, who are we?
But
Does it matter?
no. I don't want to go into that.
Sirach 17 and verse
If
11.
we're really who we are, does it
It
matter
does,
what
it
they
does
call
matter
us?
because if people don't have a shit identity, then they will do anything.
Why would they strip
We
our
gotta have a
identity
shit
just to give
identity.
it back?
Sirach 17:11 real quick, and I'm coming.
Sirach chapter 17 and verse 11.
I saw your eyebrows raise up.
Besides this.
Because if we base it back to nationality,
I want to
nationality.
hear you. Hold on one second. I'm gonna read this. I don't want to hear you.
Sirach chapter 17 and verse 11.
Yep.
Besides this, he gave them knowledge
Uh-huh.
and the law of life for inheritance.
He gave them a heritage, right, which was the laws of God. So he gave us something to instruct us on how our whole community should live and operate. We lost that. Right now, we don't got that. Everybody got different. That's what we're having a conversation about because everybody got a different doctrine. So we can't actually move forward until we align on what it is we need to be doing.
That's
and that's what the Bible is saying.
We just had that happen, and it was not the answer, bro.
No. All right. We're going to agree to disagree on that. It is the answer. You're going to find out one day. Either you're gonna
I'm in the light.
Either you're gonna submit to it or there's gonna be a judgment, right? You don't need my approval.
divine
You got- what you saying,
unapologetically. I
though?
don't need nobody else to tell me I'm divine, bro. Because God told me that
I gotta
personally.
leave in like
So
2 minutes,
y'all
bro.
are claim as
Hebrew and
Hebrew
Israel, when you say
Israelites?
Hebrew Israelite, right? Hebrew is Eber. You had other nations come out of Eber, so it's redundant. So
Right.
we're the Israelites. We descend from Jacob. You are too.
Yeah, I know. I would ask, do y'all believe white people are going to heaven
Do we believe white people are going to heaven? Yes, in a specific role.
in a specific
In a
role?
specific, huh?
In a specific role. They gonna
Role?
What's their role?
What's their role?
Yeah.
Isaiah 14:2.
It seemed like y'all got it down to where when y'all finna leave, it's always that one person that be like, well, what about white
I got another question. Yeah. Yeah. But you know why we? I don't think he's. No, I don't think you're asking it in a way where it's like you're trying to come at us. But,
No.
But the
I'm
reason-
curious because I don't.
You know why he's saying that? Because a lot of times we ask about somebody else and instead of talking about us.
Last time it was a mixed cat in here.
That's the
I'm
point.
mixed
That's
too.
what
I'm
my
Creole,
thing-
so
my
I
thing
fall
is-
under that too.
No, that's all right. I'm
Yeah,
answering you. You don't got to defend
Yeah.
it. But that's why he's saying that. Just so you understand, he's saying we constantly think about somebody else, and the discussion is about us.
Can I explain another reason why I'm asking that
Yeah, go
question
ahead,
too?
go ahead.
It's
We should be good
because
regardless. Though.
over
We really do.
over time
That's true.
we didn't mix
We do what God
races
said.
so much. All of us got some white in us.
No such thing as mixed race.
Well,
If you take
well,
an apple
yeah,
tree and you plant it somewhere else, what does it become?
it's an apple tree.
But you got different types of apples, though.
What's in our ball sacks? We have seeds.
Right.
It's
So
planted in women. There was never any mixing.
then if there's no mixing,
Slavery
then
never
what
mixed.
what creates a different
That's not
role?
a thing, huh?
If there's no mixing, then what creates a role for other colors then?
What
Like,
creates other color?
Yeah,
Because
like
what?
other role
We
in
took
that.
on their features, but in terms of who we are, it's based upon the Father. It's based upon that Father that makes. Read Numbers 1:18, and I'm gonna answer.
No Israelite women taken into captivity or raped by white men.
They were, and their children would be what? Edomite children. They would not be Israelite children, because the father of that child would be what? A white man, an Edomite.
So people that can look,
Watch, right. Listen to the scripture. I'm explaining. They can look different.
no, but they can look like me and you.
Right, but have Edomite forefathers. You know how they will know. You know how you'll know. You know how you'll know.
By
One
the
is going to
fruit
keep the exactly. There you go.
that they bear.
There you go, Derek. One is going to do what the Bible says, and one doesn't have it in them to do what the Bible says. Read that.
Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families, by the house of their fathers.
So their lineage was determined by the house of their fathers. So when you read the Bible, or even when you look in society, they know it's by the house of their fathers. But what they do is they came up with genealogy and all these different things. But you end up getting your father's last name. History is traced back through that father's last name because they understand your nationality comes from your father. You understand what I'm saying to you? So now to your question, Isaiah 14:2 real quick, and I'm gonna get up out of here.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 2. And the people, start from verse 1.
Yep.
Verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob,
So he's going to have mercy on Jacob. That's the 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
and will yet choose Israel,
He's going to choose Israel. Go ahead.
and set them in their own land.
He's going to set them back in their own land because right now we're here in America. We're not in our own land. So he's going to set us back. I'm going to show you the
Exodus coming.
Right, exactly. The second Exodus. Right, go ahead.
And the strangers shall be joined unto them,
The strangers will be joined unto them, meaning the other nations. They're going to be cleaving unto us. Go ahead.
and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Uh-huh.
And the people shall take them,
Uh-huh.
and bring them to their place.
Uh-huh.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord.
Uh-huh.
for servants and handmaids.
He says you're going to possess them for servants and handmaids. Now, when we hear that, we like, yo, you're going to be beating on them and ruling over them treacherously? Nah. Everything we're going to do is be upright. But just like here in America, you have people who work certain jobs, right? You have people that
kill all of us
play,
before they do that.
that play. Nah, they're not going to be able to, right? That you got more faith in the white man than black guy. That's a problem.
I'm mixed. I can't help it.
Oh yeah, that's the issue. You got to have to.
right now.
You know what I call mixed people sometimes? Mixed nuts. You got to get it right.
Mixed
Pick a
nuts.
side.
You probably mixed too.
No, I'm not.
You know, bald-headed people don't come from black
Give me
people.
Give me Revelation
The first
chapter 2.
bald man was white.
There are bald-headed people in the Bible. The tribe of Levi, they said they were forehead.
Yeah, Samuel was bald-headed after he cut his
Yeah,
hair.
yeah,
Ever
you know
since
what I'm
then, you the descendant of Samuel.
All praises. Thank you, my brother. Give me that Revelation 2 and verse 9. All praises.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 9.
I take that as long as I'm in there. Go ahead. Revelation 2 and 9.
I know thy works and tribulation.
I know that works in tribulation, my brother in the chair, right? So he's referring to the Israelites. He said, I know your works in your tribulation. Go ahead.
And poverty. But thou art rich.
He said, you're rich because what? Everything in the Bible is for you. That's what we read in Isaiah chapter 14. Go ahead.
I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
He said there's a people on the earth that are saying they're Jews. At that time it was Herod. Today it's the people who are of Khazarian origin that are in Israel right now because they came into the land in 1948. They didn't fulfill any of the prophecies written about in the Bible, but what they did was they killed the people in Palestine and took the land. Right? So when you ask who they are, God said they say they are Israelites and are not. Go ahead, but who are they?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
And that's what the Lord said they are. He said they're the synagogue of
mixed,
Satan,
don't
right?
trust me.
So that's what we got to understand. My brother, you understand? Yeah. So that's what you got to understand.
I appreciate y'all
The
taking
people in
the
the land are not our people.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is